Welcome to the Louisville Urban League's Workforce Wednesday, a 60-minute virtual series led by the region's top corporate recruiters, offering leadership development and professional trainings. Tune in monthly for our live hiring events from many of the best corporations in Louisville, Kentucky. Aaron and Karen, it's all yours.
Hello again. I met you all at orientation virtually. So I have my colleague Aaron with me, who heads up our health and safety for water in North America. So he's going to do a quick presentation for you all about health and safety and why it's important. At Arcadis, health and safety is one of our core values. We actually start every one of our meetings off with a health and safety moment. So it's really important. We have to earn a certain number of points towards like health and safety. So we'll run around and take pictures if we see something that may not be in compliance or could pose a dangerous situation, and talk about how we will rectify it. So it's really a core value for us, especially in the work that we do. So I will turn it over to Aaron to start, and then I'll come back and we'll have a couple of conversations about resume writing and things of that nature.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aaron Smetana. As Karen had mentioned, I'm the Director of Health and Safety for the Resilience business area within our organization. We have a relatively large and diverse bunch of work that we perform for our clients. And today I'm going to just kind of talk about health and safety and the importance for you and where you work. This is more of a general discussion. It's not necessarily targeted at our specific program within Arcadis, but I'm going to talk in generalities about, just workforce health and safety and workplace health and safety, wherever you may be working, just to give you a better idea of its importance and what it means to you and your employers. So let's just start by talking about, what is workplace health and safety first and foremost. So, when you kind of boil it down to what workplace health and safety is, it's about a workplace that should be free of hazards and risks to the people working there. Now, obviously, depending on your working environment or your type of job that you're working at, those hazards and those risks, hazards being things that can hurt you, risks are very similar, those things can be very different. Obviously, if you're sitting in an office environment, you have a different type of hazards and risks associated with that environment than if you were in say a manufacturing type environment. Sitting in an office, it may be more around ergonomic related issues, repetitive stress issues, that sort of thing. Whereas in a manufacturing setting, there could be a whole host of hazards that have a lot higher consequences or are more dangerous to the worker, right? So we're just talking about your work environment. Now, when you think about that work environment, employers in general are responsible for providing a safe work environment. And that can come in many different forms. That can be like personal protective equipment, things like hard hats or safety gloves, safety vests, that sort of thing that will help protect you, to more important things like engineering controls, things like, again, in manufacturing, guards or safety devices around the equipment that you're working on, right? And that can also include training for the employees. That can include developing safety procedures, safe work procedures. All of these things go into making your workplace safe and, again, recognizing the hazards and controlling those hazards. Now, employers obviously have responsibilities, and so do workers. Workers' responsibilities, they're obviously required to follow those safety procedures and also be mindful that your actions do not create any type of unsafe work environment. So I'm going to move on to our next slide, which really kind of talks about, I like to think about workplace health and safety as being comprised of three different components, or three different buckets. The first being, and kind of, if you look at this as a circular diagram here, that means that they're all interconnected, right? They all kind of relate to each other. And the most important being that, it's worker well-being. The next thing that we'll talk about is about regulations. Regulations are really kind of what drives, you think about rules. That's what we're talking about, safety rules. And then we'll also talk about the business benefits of health and safety, positive health and safety culture and program, and the benefits that it provides to the company, and likewise returns right back to their workers. So first, let's just talk about rules and regulations. For folks who have worked before, you're probably familiar with a term or an organization called OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Well, OSHA has its roots in a federal law, a national law that was enacted back 53 years ago, the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970. And that law or rule basically says, it was put in place to prevent workers from being killed or seriously injured in the workplace. And again, it requires employers to provide safe work conditions, like we talked about in the first slide. As part of that rule, OSHA came about, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That's the organization that goes about setting and enforcing protective workplace safety and health standards. Again, the rules. These rules, I always say, I had a gentleman one time tell me, when you have these OSHA type rules, they really come from lessons learned from serious injuries in the workplace. This gentleman once said, you got rules, and the rules are there, they're written in blood because something bad happened. And those rules go about to try to, again, to protect people and keep those bad things from happening to others, right? So these rules, OSHA, one of the other things that they do is they provide information, training, and assistance to workers and employers. And then finally, from a worker perspective, if you believe that your employer is not following the rules, you have the ability to lodge complaints with OSHA and require an inspection of your workplace. So that's part of the process that was put in place by this Federal Occupational Safety and Health Act back in 1970. So the next thing I want to talk about is the business benefit around health and safety, right? From a business perspective, you want to protect your workers, right? You want to increase their well-being, which helps with productivity and efficiency. If you have a great worker that, does a lot of wonderful things and that person gets injured, well, I think you can see not only the impacts to the individual, right, which is the most important part, but also that affects the business, right? When you prevent injuries and illnesses from occurring, and helps decreasing accidents, it really goes to the bottom line of an organization, right? I always say that whenever an organization or a project or a task takes the time to really think through the safety aspects of completing that task or that job or whatever it is, it often leads to a much more efficient and safe process. And then, of course, benefits by, eliminating the possibility for injuries and accidents. Obviously, we talked about rules and regulations. Now, if an employer doesn't follow the rules and regulations, OSHA has the ability to levy very substantial fines. And fines, obviously, are not good because you got to pay those, right? Again, kind of affects the bottom line of a particular business. When you have a really good program, you'll find that workers are part of the program, that they're engaged with the safety as well as their individual responsibilities. I know for myself as a health and safety director, I don't know everything or how every job or every task gets done. So what I do is I spend time talking with the people that do that work, because they're the ones that are the experts in that work. They know best what the hazards are and what the risks are associated with that work. And by talking to them and getting them engaged, we can come up with really great plans to protect them and keep them healthy and safe during their job. Obviously, anytime, the last bullet point that I'd like to talk about here is, providing more opportunity for workers and the company, right? A workforce that has great well-being, that they're safe, that they're efficient, and they're not being troubled by regulatory fines or taking time to investigate accidents, because it takes a tremendous amount of time and resources. Like if something happens, something bad happens, that's really detracting or taking away from the business. When you have a well-organized organization that values safety and plans for safety, it really helps grow the business. And when you grow the business, you give the worker a lot more opportunity to grow within their own careers, right? So that's an important thing. Again, it kind of goes back to the worker. Who's the most important? The worker. So let's just talk finally about worker well-being. Again, just kind of reiterate some of the things that we talked about. A really good health and safety program within an organization really it's about protecting the company's most valuable resource, right? It's the workers that make it go, right? It provides tools, the training, the protections, the things like we talked about. If you're in manufacturing or high hazard, guards and procedures and training and personal protective equipment that you need, right? When you involve the worker in the process, it empowers them. At the end of the day, it's all about promoting the concept of going home with all the fingers and toes that you showed up at work with. Because, I think, some people are super lucky. They love their job, right? And they wake up every day just to go to their job. Whereas, maybe some other people, the job is a means to an end. It's about, supporting your loved ones, right? Or being able to do the things that you love to do away from work, whatever that activity may be: fishing, riding motorcycles, just hanging out with your family. Because at the end of the day, people have important things to go home to, whether that be people, they've got pets or plants in their lives. There's something that they care about. And having a whole well workforce really improves the entire experience for the organization and the workers as well. So with that, I would just maybe open it up if anybody has any questions or comments. Otherwise, that's the part of my presentation for today. And if not, I'll let Karen go on with her stuff. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and have a great rest of your day.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
They said no other questions. They're good.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Arcadis Engineering, for your sponsorship and continued support of the Urban League. That was a great presentation. Hope you all got something out of it, because safety, as they were saying, sharing is super important in this industry, in construction industry. Well, so I'll give you guys back your time, and if there was something that Karen wanted to add, I'll reach out to her and share it with Crystal and Rayvon so that they could share with you all, with the class.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all for joining. Again, thank you, Aaron and Karen, Arcadius. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.